All right. Thanks for having us. I don't know if you guys saw the news, but I didn't know if this was the best day to do something like this or the worst day to do something like this. But yeah, we did close some financing this morning, so we're excited to be here. And you know, it's really good to see everyone out here. Just super fired up on the industry in general. Meeting with a lot of customers, meeting with a lot of investors. And so the opportunity to give you guys just a quick overview of who we are and what we do. So let's get to it. You know, obviously the U.S. cannabis industry is booming. We wouldn't be here in South Florida otherwise. Well, I don't know, maybe we would be, but South Beach in January is never a bad thing. But ultimately, we think you know, latest data says it's going to be a $75 billion, $80 billion industry by 2030. So got some slides later to show you sort of quantify what that means for us and our business and how we play in the space. The public opinion tailwinds, obviously 66% of the population here domestically thinks that U.S. cannabis should be legal. It's, you know, one of the trends that we're seeing. It's like talking about bridging the gap really between, you know, if we say that half of the population drinks alcohol and currently 10% of the population consumes cannabis, how that gap is going to be bridged. Is that going to be bridged because, you know, my wife all of a sudden decides to start hitting the bubbler? Probably not. Or my mom wants to twist up a joint? Probably not. So where we're seeing the trends, and actually there's data out, you know, as of the end of last year that sort of validates this, is, you know, people are going to be consuming, whether it's THC or CBD, either by oils and extracts, or, you know, some other form factor that is unrelated to flower and pre-rolls. And, you know, we'll get to sort of how we're positioning our company to sort of take advantage of that later on. The U.S. cannabis industry, so we got the growers, processors, brand owners, and producers. I would say that the first three make up about 90% of the business that we currently service. So distribution, obviously it's still early stages, mostly because of the laws around interstate transportation. So we do think distribution is going to be a huge area that, you know, longer term, as sort of regulations continue to thaw and work in our favor, that's something that I think we could see ourselves getting into. And then the dispensaries, we, as of last year, rolled out, you know, we spun off a business that was directly retail touching. It was, we sold Rollable to Smoke Cartel, and that was bongs and pipes, and that was in the sort of KushCo portfolio. We spun it out and sold it. Our primary focus right now is just to be strictly B2B as much as possible. But we do get into the dispensaries, you know, for some of our vertically integrated MSOs and Canadian LPs. What we see is, you know, obviously it's highly nuanced and very fragmented. It's you know, really difficult to understand all the different regulations state by state. So our customers come to us as a partner to help them navigate, you know, the different regulations in the various geographies. So, you know, if you think about, you know, the trends that we're seeing is the multi-state operators, the big are continuing to get bigger. So as they expand into new geographies, and like, you know, for example, you know, GTI with the acquisition of Essence, you know, they got into the state of Nevada. You know, we were able to help them understand all the different rules and whatnot for that particular state, all the labeling requirements, et cetera. So the fact that it is highly fragmented currently does play well into our hand because we are sort of, you know, trusted partners in that regard. Who we are, obviously we're a publicly traded company. We sort of market ourselves as the premier supply chain solution for the cannabis industry. Our customers, as I mentioned before, those top three are kind of our bread and butter. The distribution and dispensaries obviously is ongoing. Core growth strategy, pretty simple. You know, don't lose customers. So, you know, you've seen all of these multi-state operators, and, you know, they're going to do 20 million last year, 50 million this year, 150 million next year. We hope all of them do it. The reality is, you know, some are going to do it, some are going to do more, some are going to do less. You know, as long as we're able to position ourselves within, in their supply chain, we're going to ultimately grow as they grow. And there's some data that I want to show a little later on how we're doing that. Really, it's not lose customers, and then as they come into the KushCo ecosystem, we cross-sell across the platform. And so, we want to get new customers, but obviously we want to go deeper within those customers. A little bit about the holding company structure. Kush Supply Co. really is, it's 98% of our revenue mix. We broke it out from Coletto and Hybrid. Hybrid's our creative agency that we have sort of in-house. We sort of utilize that as a sort of an acquisition tool. It complements really well with our marketing team. But it's more on sort of like the branding side of the house. And Coletto is our IP, so it's strictly R&D. Currently, we did 12 patents last year on a variety of form factors and child-resistant packaging. But having Coletto, we're integrating them directly with our sales team. So think about some of the Canadian LPs, for example. They want to differentiate themselves, but the rules in Canada are such that you can't really market too much on the outside. You can't really advertise at all on the outside packaging. What you can do is have sort of unique form factors and make your package stand out on the shelf. Coletto, what we'll do is we'll bring our Steve Huang, who is the president of Coletto, and work directly with the Canadian LPs, customize a package for them, lock them into a supply agreement, and then we've sort of earned that business for the foreseeable future. Our facilities, these are our footprint. We kind of operate under an asset-light model, but we are well positioned in the various geographies. The way that we sort of approach it is, before we go and invest in the infrastructure to build a distribution center, we want to really get some boots on the ground and see how the market is ultimately evolving. We saw this last year in Massachusetts. We have a 66,000 square foot facility in Worcester. We had high expectations for the Massachusetts market. What we found out is, just as you guys may or may not know, the rollout in Massachusetts was a little slower than many of us anticipated. We were utilizing like 6,000 square feet of the 66,000 for a couple months. But ultimately, we think that it's a massive market, and it's more of a regulatory problem and not a demand problem. But the strategy and the thinking going forward is, get somebody out there on the ground, figuring out who the players are, and then when it does make sense, then we'll throw up a warehouse. It's just a map. So let's talk about our products. Most people think that we're only a packaging company. That's what we were. We started off as a packaging company. Currently, it's about 30% of our business. We specialize in flour, pre-rolls, concentrates, pretty much anything that you can package. So we always get this question. People come to us and say, well, what happens when big packaging decides that they want to get into the space? Won't they be able to just beat you in terms of cost? And the question is, it's sort of good luck. Like, how are you going to understand, how do you package resin versus pre-rolled joints, versus vape cartridge? We are well versed in all the various form factors, and we also know who the customers are. I mean, quite frankly, there's no yellow pages out there that shows who the players are, where they're located. We still are sort of back in the Stone Age with advertising, and not a lot of these people or folks want to be known. So we do have a leg up. Ultimately, we are preparing for that to be the case. So we're pretty transparent with the fact that, yes, maybe once the States Act passes, or maybe there's federal legalization, something like that, yes, we fully anticipate to compete against the big packaging, so to speak. And they do knock on our door and they say, hey, look, we want to acquire you. And we're basically saying, I don't think you do, because what do you know about pre-rolled joints? What do you know about hydrocarbons? What do you know about all of these other things? So vape is currently about half of our revenue mix right now. We are one of 4 distributors of the C-Cell product, which is sort of the best-in-class vape hardware. We do sort of lead with vape because it is an easy sell. It is in such high demand, so customers come to us for the vape product. Once they're in our ecosystem, then we're able to cross-sell. Kush Energy, it's a higher margin business for us. So what this is, basically we sell on the hydrocarbon side for THC extraction. That's going to be your butane, isobutane, hydrogen. And then on the CBD side, it's ethanol. So with the passage of the Farm Bill, tremendous opportunity for us to go out and be the supplier of ethanol to some of these large CBD extractors. What we've also done is we have developed a tank specific for the cannabis industry. It's stainless steel, so it doesn't flake or it doesn't chip. So unlike a carbon steel tank, which is, a lot of that crud ends up in the end product, which is a poison. We do think regulations coming down that is going to be testing for heavy metals in some of these products, and we just want to make sure that we have the best in class. We have the cleanest gas, and there's very little poison showing up in the end product. Natural products. This is something I get really excited about. This is terpenes. So if you think about it, when you think about your cartridge, about 10% of that oil is going to be the terpene. And what the terpene is, that provides a sensorial effect, whether you want to be, mellowed out or whether you want to be, super high energy. That is going to be derived from terpenes. Historically, terpenes have been derived from the cannabis plant itself. So, what we've done is we've partnered with abstracts, and it's all natural organic terpenes that don't come from the cannabis plant. So you can sort of solve that interstate commerce. You can transfer it across state lines. So if you're trying to have a product and you want to ensure consistency, you want to make sure that your OG Kush tastes the same in New York as it does in California. The only way you're going to be able to do that is to make sure that your terpene, you're using the same terpene in that product. And currently you can't do it if you're deriving it from cannabis. So we've sort of solved for that. Not to mention you can get fun with it. So at home I have a Cinnamon Toast Crunch flavored vape pen. So you can really mix it up. And so if you think about where this industry is ultimately going, who the players are going to be, put on your traditional sort of CPG hat for a second. You're going to see, my thesis personally, you're going to see some older brands that we're all familiar with, maybe that have died out, sort of reemerge, reinvent themselves in the cannabis space, and they're going to do that with a customized terpene that sort of tastes like their product. We do have we have an office in Canada. Hybrid Creative, we talked about that. Coletto, we talked about that. Skip through leadership here. Financial overview. So this is a fun slide. So really in 2016, we had 5 customers spending between $100,000 and $250,000. In the last 4 quarters, we've had 21 customers spend that amount. 19 customers have spent over $500,000 with us, 7 of which have actually spent over $1 million with us in the last 12 months. So it's showing nice progression. Really what this isn't us doing anything different. This is literally growing as our customers grow. These customers are growing up, they trust us, and we're there with them along the way. So we're servicing, we're providing great products at a great price and not losing that business. So what does this all mean, the addressable market for us? So this slide really is, okay, you walk into a dispensary and you spend $50. What does that mean? So we have data that shows, 30% of that money is being spent on flower, 30% on vape, 25% on concentrate, 15% on pre-roll, okay? Within those 4 different buckets, flower, for example, we can sell you the cones, we can sell you the jars, the barrier bags, the labeling, and the services to help build your brand. We can sell all of those different bullet points to our customers. And so what is our share of wallet when we do that? And so you can see, so flower, if it's just traditional flower, if we do our job and we win that business, we're going to get $1 for every 50. It's not that great. Whereas vaporizer, we can do, we can sell $6 of that 50. So that's sort of how, if you average it all out, we're getting about $3 share of wallet is sort of our addressable market, if you think about it. And so what that translates to, it's about 6% of the overall top line cannabis revenue. So, we put out guidance this year that says we're going to do 120 million in sales, right? If you think about the cannabis market today, it's a $20 billion industry, okay? You back that out and you say, okay, $20 billion industry, 6% of that is our addressable market. $1.2 billion is our addressable revenue today, given the current market. We're guiding to about having a 10% on average market share across our various categories. Still a lot of upside, a lot of room. We still are early stages, even though we're considered to be sort of, one of the market leaders in a lot of the categories that we play. But it's, I think it's more of a testament of just sort of where we're at as an industry as a whole. And it's really exciting to see sort of all the upside that's available. So especially if we do hit anywhere close to those numbers that I showed in the earlier slides about it being a $100 billion industry, not to mention, that I don't think that takes into consideration CBD and all of the different form factors. So, I think, really the upside is tremendous. This is a geographical breakdown quickly. As of our last quarter, I don't know, it's kind of cut off a little bit, but about 55% of our business does come from the state of California. Not surprising considering, we're a California-based company. But, if you look at sort of the rate of growth, we grew 211% in that state in particular, whereas the state as a whole in terms of cannabis growth is about 50%. So you can see sort of kind of going down the list, California, Washington, Colorado. These are more sort of mature markets, and we're outgrowing that market in general. And why is that? It's because we're offering more products to sell to our customers, and we're getting the customers into that ecosystem and cross-selling across the platform. This is, I'll just actually skip ahead. So this is kind of what I'm talking about. So if you look at our customer value, if you spend between $10,000 and $50,000 with us over a 12-month period, we'll sell you on average 13 SKUs. If you go to, the $500 to $1 million bucket over the last 12 months, we're going to sell you 56 SKUs. Million, 45 SKUs. You can see a trend that, the more money that they're spending with us, they're actually buying also more SKUs from us. So that to me shows that we're very incredibly sticky with that customer. So even if does big packaging, big gas, big whoever decide to enter the space and compete with us directly, are we going to lose all 56 SKUs of a customer just because they got a better deal? I mean, we're going to be a one-stop shop for all of those SKUs within that customer base. And I think that is a testament of just going really deep with our customers. This is our revenue breakdown. So, really, last quarter we were pretty vape heavy, but I do think some of that is a little seasonal with around the Chinese New Year and everything else. But I do expect right now, just the way vape is trending, to be around half of our revenue mix. But the goal is get them in with vape, and then we're going to sell you your solvent solution. We're going to sell you your terpenes. We're going to sell the packaging, the label that goes on the package. So really all the cycle of plant to end product, we're going to sell you each of those things sort of along the way. And then this is sort of our guidance. 2016, we did 8.2 million in revenue. Last year, we did 52.1. Our fiscal year ends August 31st. So we're actually in our second quarter right now. And yeah, we guided to between 110 and 120 million in top line revenue. So take the midpoint, and that's where we're at. So the key takeaways, this is a unique opportunity to invest in a first mover company in a multi-billion-dollar industry. We're focused on organic growth. So if you look at sort of our growth over the last quarter, for example, all of that was organic in a sense that those were from business lines that were in existence, and we didn't actually acquire anything to juice that. We're growing our product lines. And, we're in a great position to grow market share. So thank you very much. I appreciate your guys' time.